Hey guys, welcome back to the other side of the coin. Look, now that the goalkeeper situation is done and dusted, Edouard Mendy has agreed on personal terms, and Fabrizio Romano, the greatest transfer guru out there, along with many other journalists, have pretty much come out and said that this is done. And we are going to hear an announcement very, very soon. And I'll cover another video about the whole Edouard Mendy. I've done a little bit more research, which I want to share with you guys, but on another video. So now the whole focus at the moment is about Declan Rice. Frank and Chelsea, in the hierarchies have pretty much come out, and it's very well known at the moment across many other journalists who've said it as well, that Chelsea, after the Kai Havertz deal, were looking for a goalkeeper and a defensive midfielder. We've got the goalkeeper, now it's about defensive midfielder. Now, a lot of fans could come out and say, well, we don't really need it. We've got Kante, we've got Jorginho, we've got Kovacic. Now, here's the thing. I want to really take this opportunity to try and, understand, help you guys understand, and you guys can obviously, have the discussion with me and comments in this particular video down below. But I think it's good to try and start understanding as to how this will materialize. So, first of all, there's been a pretty big news that's come out in the last 24 hours that we are possibly looking to do a swap deal with West Ham with Ross Barkley. We know how much David Moyes has fancied Ross Barkley, really, really liked Ross Barkley back in the Everton days. And I can see this sort of happening. But before we even get to all of that, first of all, it's very, very essential to note that Frank has come out publicly and said that he doesn't want N'Golo Kante to go. So N'Golo Kante is staying. There's all these rumors about Inter Milan and all the stuff that they want to do, and they want to try and get him. They can do whatever they want, Inter Milan. They're not going to get N'Golo Kante. Frank has said that he's absolutely important to this team more than ever before. So this won't happen. And if you guys have listened, I listened to quite a lot of Alex Goldberg's podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed to his podcast, please do so, because it's probably the closest you're going to get to being the insider, like the inside knowledge of Chelsea, because he brings a hell of a lot of special guests in his podcast. And recently who he brought was Simon Johnson, who's a Chelsea correspondent, covers a lot of Chelsea stuff. And the conversations they were having around this particular topic is that, first of all, Jorginho is out of favour. So, if we think about we are stacked in midfield in that particular position, the defensive midfield position, or, like a centre midfield position, Frank doesn't want to play Jorginho anymore. I think he's made the decision a long time back, especially in that first leg against Bayern Munich. After that shambolic performance there, I think from that conversation in that podcast, they were trying to say is that, Frank had pretty much penciled down as Jorginho as someone that he doesn't see being part of his plan. Once again, he's not really Frank Lampard, player. He was pretty much inherited with Jorginho, but he kept him and gave him the vice captaincies because he has a good character, and that was the sort of good, that was the information that came from that podcast. And it goes on to say that Jorginho is definitely not part of his plan. So here's another player that needs to go, and to find suitors for him is quite difficult at the moment, but Italy is probably somewhere he needs to go. Whether the biggest, our biggest opportunity was with Juventus, but now with Sarri gone, that window has closed. But hopefully we can manage to get any other Italian team to try and offload this particular player. So this is a player that has no future at the moment with Chelsea and has to go. So there's a space there. Kovacic is another player that, down the track, if we play with a lone DM and attacking eights, if that's the sort of style that Frank wants to play, yes, the attacking eights will have to defend as well, don't get me wrong. But if it's the lone DM, that kind of stops Kovacic's time in this squad, because he's neither a lone DM. I don't think he's a lone DM. He plays really well in a pivot, and he's not really an attacking eight because he doesn't really score goals. He's not someone who's going to arrive in the box late and smash that ball in or header it in. So here's another player who could probably see less minutes, because Mason Mount will probably play more in the attacking eights role. And, Kai Havertz now coming in, he's probably going to play a lot more up front, or maybe in that, number 8 sort of position on the right side. Then you have Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well. So going back into the lone DM situation, it's really Kante. And once again, Kante's role as a lone DM, that's not his out-and-out role. He's another player who probably plays in a pivot, his best football. So that's the whole reason about Declan Rice. He's far more suited, even though he probably hasn't played much of lone DM in West Ham, but he's got the characteristics to play out that role. And this now leaves Ross Barkley in that whole midfield with all the players we've got in, likes of Kai Havertz and Ruben Loftus-Cheek back from injury. Now with Mason Mount, now that we're playing with a lone DM, reduces his time immensely. He's another player that needs to go. So we've got Jorginho, we've got Ross Barkley. Essentially, there is 100% spot for Declan Rice. And then don't forget, we've also sent someone like Ampadu to Sheffield United. Yes, Ampadu was pretty much told this season that he may not see enough game time, and hence he's gone to Sheffield United to get more game time there. But he's still very much in the program, in the sense that if he does well in Sheffield United, he will come back and he can play centre back, he can play the defensive midfield. So down the track, we will probably have, hopefully, the vision is, Kante, he's getting old. It's not like he's going to keep playing. He's going to be 30 this season. So down the track, the vision is Declan Rice, who's I think 21, 22. He's a leader already, and Frank's looking for a leader. He wants someone who communicates in the field. He didn't see enough of that last season, and Declan Rice is already that type of a player, that caliber of a player for West Ham, where he communicates and he marshals the troops. So he's already, penciled down as one of the players for the future. And then Ampadu. So down the track, you could see Declan Rice and Ampadu. So guys, that's the whole, scenario about the whole midfield and how Declan Rice would fit in and who needs to go. So at the moment, hopefully for West Ham, they're a club that's struggling financially. They need the money. They're in turmoil as well. They've let go of a particular player, and we saw recently Mark Noble, their ex-club captain, who's come out and said that he's very upset about this situation. So, with all of that going in, Declan Rice would 100% would favour a move. And I feel West Ham at the end of the day shouldn't keep a player that's not really willing to stay with them. And they need the money. And, we are willing to give that. Someone like Ross Barkley would help their cause a lot, I feel, in terms of the attacking abilities. And I'm sure, defensively they can find elsewhere as well. So, I hope that this goes through in this particular window, and that we can come to some sort of negotiation with West Ham with some cash and Ross Barkley. So watch this space as this materializes, guys. Our transfer window is definitely not over now that we've got Mendy. We're still after Rice. So this story, this saga is now really going to take place, and it's going to be exciting to watch. So guys, let me know what your thoughts are about this whole Ross Barkley, Declan Rice, Jorginho needs to go as well. And comment below in the comment section, and let's have a healthy discussion. If you've enjoyed this video, smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time.